today's video, we're going to be talking about crossover grading, but more specifically, cracking out slabs and then grading them with different companies to make a profit. There's going to be a lot of tips that we're going to cover in this, so stick with me through the whole video. Don't just look at what the grade was before and what it got after and think that'll always happen. There's a massive learning curve. You can lose a lot of money if you don't do this, with experience. So that's what I'm going to try and share with you guys is my experience. We're going to look at 3 examples of cards, 2 that are successful crossovers, and then 1 that I'm pumping the brakes on. I'm not going to crack it out or cross it over at all. We're going to talk also about some of the potential profits from doing this. So it's going to be a really informative video. Let's get straight into it. So first off, we're going to look at 1 card here. It is the Galarian Moltres tag team here. Beautiful, beautiful card. This is a Japanese card, so right off the bat, that's going to be one thing that we're going to talk about, which is, generally speaking, I've had a really good time with crossing over Japanese cards to PSA. I just feel like PSA hands out 10s a lot easier to Japanese cards. I do also think that the actual printing for Japanese cards is a lot better in general, so you can always have a more decent time with that. So, this is a Gem Mint 10. I don't have a picture of it before, but it was a CGC 9.5 previously. It was a blue label, so it was one of the old labels. If you guys don't already know, CGC switched over the past couple years. They switched from doing their blue labels to these black and white labels where it kind of is more similar to PSA than it is, it was more similar to Beckett before, in my opinion, because you had 9.5 considered Gem Mint. So a 9.5 blue label was considered Gem Mint. PSA 10 is also considered Gem Mint. So that's, kind of one thing you could cue into, like, okay, well, maybe it will be considered Gem Mint. But you still have to look at the actual condition of the card. And that's actually one of the examples we're going to look at later on, which is the one that I'm pumping the brakes on. So I bought this card back in, I believe it was February of this year, 2025. It was a 9.5, like I said. I think I paid maybe $35, $40 for it. The market for tag teams was a lot lower back then, so, first off, that was just kind of a bonus here. And yeah, the reason I don't have a photo of it is because I got it during a card show and I had already cracked it out. I didn't keep the label for it. I do have a photo of the other one that we'll look at in a second here. So for this example, kind of just a solid tip first for starters is that I feel like CGC blue labels were a little bit more strict than CGC black and white labels are now. I mean, I just remember too, my first ever submission was to CGC when they had the blue labels, and I got 7s and 8s out the wazoo, and it was just crazy to me because they all looked like they were perfect cards. So I think that that's kind of one thing too that you can kind of look at is, is this company more strict? What are their guidelines? Always make sure to look at what their standards are. PSA actually has a section on their website where you can look at why they grade a card a certain way. So the next card that we're going to look at, and I'll show you the before picture, it was a BGS 9.5. Absolutely phenomenal Pikachu World Championship. You can see it has that really awesome stamp right there in the lower left corner. So this card got a 9.5. This got a Gem Mint 10. It was a 9.5. And one thing that I kind of, I kind of wanted to mention too is whenever you're dealing with subgrades, I'll pull up this picture here so I can more specifically say the subgrades. So the subgrades for this card, it was centering 9.5, corners 10. It was surface 10, and edges were a 9. So in my experience, when it comes to subgrades, if it has a 9 subgrade on centering, it almost always will not meet PSA's criteria for a Gem Mint 10. That's just my experience. I've seen several cards that had 9s for centering, and every single time I saw that, I could clearly tell that they would miss the mark for PSA. Especially now that they have gotten a lot more strict on the centering. One thing I forgot to mention about this last card here. So this card, Like I said before, it was about $35, $40. Now there is a listing that just sold recently for $285. So that is a massive, massive increase in price right there. And like I said too, the tag team market has come up a lot in the past several months. So that's something really important to bear in mind too. Is it worth cracking out and grading a card, possibly waiting 2 to 3 months to get it back if the market is going down on it? You need to look at cards that are either going up in price or staying the same. If you see the prices going down, then that's way riskier, because by the time you get it back, it could be worth less than how much you bought it for originally. So this card, I paid $168 for the card itself. When you factor in grading fees for this one, it was 15 bucks. And so that puts it at, let's just say, $185 right there with shipping. And then this one too would have been like $60 for total, including grading cost. And that Pikachu is now worth about $550 to $600. So an absolutely insane increase as well right there, almost jumping 3 times in price on the Pikachu. So another one that we'll look at is an example of something that I bought and I decided to pump the brakes on it. It's this Flareon VMAX right here, and it was a 9.5 as well, and I saw that centering 9.5, that's why I bought it. I looked at that, but the problem here was corners. Now this is another area where you should definitely look at very closely, because corners, that would usually be referring to whitening. We see a lot of whitening in the corners. So from looking at the eBay listing, I couldn't see any whitening on it. It looks good to me. I believe I paid $110 for this Flareon. And I didn't see any white spots on it. It was really hard to tell. There's just some listings you just can't tell. And I'll show you guys right here that there is a little white spot right here on the back top right of the card there. So that is why I'm pumping the brakes on this card, because I think that if I can see it, PSA will see it. So that's why I don't think it's worth cracking out, because if it got a PSA 9, it would not be worth it. I'd much rather keep the 9.5 Gem Mint from Beckett instead. And so you guys might be thinking too, like, well, why is it that Beckett even, allows this to qualify as Gem Mint if there's the white spot? And it's just because companies have different grading standards. That's it. They believe that if certain, areas have 10s, then there's going to be more room for error on different areas. So edges and surface, they're considered perfect. So that's why they gave it a 9.5, because there was the other areas that got 10s. So even though corners had a 9, it still qualified for the 9.5. So that's another tip for this video, is it's not just all black and white. You cannot cross over every 9.5 into a 10 with PSA. And the reason for that is you just have to look at card condition. At the end of the day, it's all about card condition. And so one thing that a lot of people are probably going to ask as well that I wanted to address, which is, why didn't I do the crossover grading? There is actually a specific crossover grading feature that you can do with PSA. It costs a little bit more, but it has a faster turnaround time. You can send in the actual slab itself. You can tell them a minimum grade if you want them to crack it out or not, if it doesn't meet that criteria. I have never done that up until now. I have a crossover grading submission that I'm waiting on, so definitely come back around for that. It is a Roaring Moon EX from Prismatic Evolutions, and I think that this is going to, unfortunately, I have a feeling that this is going to be a video that I'll make, which is like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, because I think that this is going to be an instance where not only has Prismatic dropped in value, but I also think that based off of what I've heard about crossover grading, it is almost always, psychology. If a grader sees a 9 or a 9.5, they're probably not going to want to give that a 10 because they're going to be looking for any possible issue that they could raise to say it didn't get a 10. So, you know, a lot of people say that it's a scam. I don't know that for sure. I've never done it before, but that's why I'm doing it. Purely, really just to inform you guys and just have a little bit more knowledge. If it comes back a Gem Mint 10, then maybe I'll be singing a different tune. You know, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully I'll find out within the next week or two, so you guys should be able to see that video in just a couple weeks. So definitely look out for that. But really, I just want to bring it back around to, you know, what is the purpose of grading? The purpose of grading is to evaluate the conditions of these cards. And grading companies have different standards. So I don't want anyone to go into the comments and say, this is why PSA shouldn't be trusted, this is why Beckett shouldn't be trusted, this is why CGC shouldn't be trusted. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose is grading companies are different, and you can use that to your advantage. You could do the same thing. You could crack out a PSA 9 and you could cross it over to CGC, or you could cross it over to Beckett. If you think that their standards will be a little bit more lenient in certain areas and you can make money by doing that, then why not do it? So that is the purpose of this video, just to inform you guys, give you a little bit more knowledge into you know, how you can do this yourself. You know, make sure to be very careful when cracking out slabs. It is definitely risky. You can damage these cards when you're getting them out of the cases. I will say this from experience, Beckett is one of the best to crack out because they have this little inner sleeve on the card itself. So the nice part is that thing is so thick that when you cut across with like some wire cutters or bolt cutters or whatever, if you cut across that, sometimes plastic shards will fly all over the place and, you know, even fly into the case. So with the sleeve, it actually protects the card when you're taking it out. PSA and CGC, the card is just in there, you know, like it is literally just in that little rectangle there. So if you're cracking those out, you know, you can very easily damage the card, you know, with a flathead screwdriver as well. You don't want to damage that either way. Don't want to drag this on anymore. If you guys do have any questions for me that I didn't cover in this video, let me know down in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you do that. It's totally free and you can always change your mind down the road. We got a ton of awesome videos coming in the future, so that gives you a good reason to subscribe. Like this video, share it with your friends if anyone you know is maybe talking about crossover grading, and look out for that video in the coming weeks for that Roaring Moon EX card. We'll find out if it's a sad story or if it's a come up. So I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.